Hi everyone, this is Steph, and I wanted to thank all of you for joining me in this quest to make masks for Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital up in St. Petersburg, so that family members could come and visit their children safely without using all of the medical PPEs or protective personal equipment that the staff, nurses, doctors, radiologists, respiratory therapists all need. In your packet, you will receive 2 bundles. One bundle will have 2 sheets of 45 by 45 inch material, and the second bundle will have 3 sheets of 40 by 40 inch material. You'll also need a rotary cutter, whether it's this kind stationary rotary cutter or whether it is your handheld. You'll need obviously thread and some pins and your sewing machine, of course a cutting board. And I wanted to make this video just to make it a little bit easier for you. The directions can be slightly confusing, and there are some ways to get around some of the things that they are asking you to do. After making 50 masks, I think I've got it down to a nice science that I thought might make it easier for you as well. This is your finished product. You will have white masks and blue masks at the end. You'll see some sewing here on the front, and that is for a small little pouch that you'll be putting in with one open end for twisty ties or some sort of wire to be placed inside the mask so that it can be positioned well on the nose. All right, let me get some stuff together and we'll get to it. By the way, each of you will get a set of directions in your bundles, but I wanted to show you on a smaller piece of scrap what some of the things they talk about actually mean. At some point you will be separating the blue and the white sheets. They are put together by a stamp right here. It is difficult to separate that stamp, so I would suggest cutting that as close to the edge of the inside here of that stamp as possible. Once you cut that away, it will be very easy to then separate the blue and the white. Fold your 40 inch by 40 inch piece of material in half, and I would suggest that you cut off this stamped piece that is very difficult to pull apart. If you try to pull it apart, it actually rips the paper. You're asked to cut 2 14-inch strips of this material, which will then be cut into 9-inch sections, thus making your 14 by 9-inch rectangle. I found it easier to cut the 9-inch sections and unfolding this 38 or so inch paper to be able to cut those 14-inch strips. I'll show you in a second here. Here is my first 9-inch strip, and as you can see, it's folded in half still. I line it up to marker number 14. I cut that piece away, and yes, you will have leftover paper. That's a given. And you can use it for whatever you need to. I used some of my leftovers for cutting the nose pieces. Anyway, you'll have 4 14-inch sheets, 2 white and 2 blue. And so you can just separate those. Get a little bit of that stamping left over. Separate them into your 2 piles. There we go. And now you have your 4 here. And then you can do that 3 more times with your first sheet. That will give you 12 altogether. When you cut the 3 40 by 40 inch sheets, you should have 48 14 by 9 pieces for your masks. Finished cutting for the main body of the mask, you need to make the straps. So you'll take your 45 by 45 inch sheet and you will cut 1 inch straps. It's easiest to do that by folding the 45 by 45 inch in half, lining up your edges, and don't forget to cut off this portion. And even after you cut off this portion, the straps will be long enough to tie on to a person's head, you know, and securing the mask onto a person, okay? Your strips will look like this. And you will need 2 strips for each mask. Okay, so 2 strips for each mask. So you will need to cut 90 strips. Cutting 45 out of blue and white together will get you those 90. Welcome to my little sewing space. I wanted to suggest that when you are cutting your material, that you cut everything out, all of the straps, all of the masks, and the nose strips, which I did not go over, but we will once we are finished with this part. And we were on to sewing. You're going to take your 14 by 9 inch main mask section, and as I zoom in a little bit more closely, you'll see some spuzz. Anyway, the inside or the wrong side of the material has the dots on it, but it has a little bit of a sheen to it. You can see that sheen. The outside doesn't have that sheen, and you can see that the dots are a lot deeper. Okay, so you're going to want to fold that with the right sides together. 9 inches matching 9 inches. Then you are going to sew all 3 sides and leaving, they say about 1 or 2 inches. I actually left that much because the paper is a little bit difficult to turn out. It's not as giving as regular material is. You'll use a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Start to turn it inside out. You'll need to work your corners out, being very careful not to tear the corners, and I use my cute purple fang and just kind of gently push it through to make my corners nice and sharp. Go ahead and hand press your seams so they are a little bit flatter, and on this portion where you left it open to turn it inside out, just fold it in 1/4 inch. At this point on the directions, they want you to sew that portion, but to save yourself a little bit of time, because these do take a little bit longer than the normal mask, I would just go ahead and leave it as it is. It will get sewn in with the tie. To the very last page of the directions, it talks about doing a nose strip. I did these at the end. And once the masks are pleated and sewn together, it's a little bit harder to put those nose strip pieces in. What the nose strip is a piece of, again, the fabric, and it will be cut into a 4 inch by 1 1/4 inch piece. I went ahead and took some of the material that I had left over from cutting the straps and just used a 4" by 1" piece. And those will be attached, like it says here, to the center of the top edge of your mask. I tried to use the non-stitched edge to always be my top. Fold it in half so that you can make yourself a mark as to where it is halfway on the mask. And you take your 4" strip and you are going to sew it on to the mask at at the halfway mark, and you're only going to sew 3 sides of it. One end will be left open to slip in a wire or a twisty tie. I went ahead and reinforced the opening, and this is what it would look like with the twisty tie or wire getting put in. So a 1" by 4" really is reasonable. Okay, and then of course they'll have that up front. Some of you have already made masks before. So this portion is the portion where you actually do the pleating of the mask. They suggest marking it and using pins to fold from red to blue, red to blue, red to blue. But if you have done your own masks already doing pleats, you don't need to do that. I thought, okay, I'll give it a try. I thought I was going to get diabetes from doing it that way. So the good thing with having your nose piece here is that that will give you your first area of measurement to fold your mask. Fold it about a 1/2" past the nose piece. Now this is the inside of the mask, so you have to have the nose piece right here in front of you. And then you're going to fold it in half, or on that edge, that 1/2" edge or so, into your first pleat. And you're going to pin it in the middle. Next, you're going to take and pinch at both ends about 1" down and fold approximately a 1/2" over and press that with your fingers. Pin that portion as well. Of course, this part will be a little bit thicker, so just be careful on this portion of it. Then you're going to take that last part and again about 1" down, pinch and fold it over about a 1/2" or so. And you will have a little bit left over of the bottom part of the mask. Pin that too. So you'll have something that looks like a poofy bow tie with lots of pleats, okay? What we're going to do next is attach the sides. And yes, those have come apart, but when you're sewing, you'll just be putting those back together to sew your tie on. Find the middle of your strap, and you are going to pin it with the right side to the right side. And this pleat is approximately halfway on your mask, so you'll match those 2 halfway points. You may have some of the pleats sticking out just a little bit. That is okay. And then you are going to sew this together at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. This is what you'll have. And then you're going to fold it over to the complete other side. So right now you're at the back of the mask, and you're going to fold the strap to the front of the mask. This will take a little bit of holding. If you need to pin it, go ahead and pin it. I've done enough of these that I don't have to pin them anymore at this point. I don't know if that's good or bad. Anyway, go ahead and sew that edge at just a scant 1/4 inch. Once you get to the end here, where the strap and the mask meet there, go ahead and backstitch just a little bit. You're going to need to fold this strap in half. And what I did was just go ahead and bring up my foot, and I folded it in half with my hands as best as I could. It will not match completely where the mask and the strap meet. If you look underneath, you'll see where they don't match. okay, because that other edge folds under. But you'll fold everything in half, and what I did was I kind of did a cat eye design. I know this is kind of strange, but I went ahead and sewed up and around, oops, sorry, there you go, up and around and down to catch that part of the edge that is shorter on the underneath side. Then you're going to go ahead and finger press all the way down, folding your strap in half, and you're going to sew all the way down to the end of the strap. Don't cut your thread at the very end, because it's good for you to go ahead and back stitch at the very end, just to give it a little bit of security. I wanted you to see what I meant by the cat eye effect. So here I back stitched up onto the mask. I kind of came out around and down, and I caught that edge, so it is nice and secure there. There you can see I secured it. I will need to cut that piece off, so any loose threads, make sure you cut those off. And this seam allowance is approximately 3/8 of an inch. And yes, it didn't line up perfectly, my bad, but it's okay. Anyway, and then you will repeat everything on the other side, but you'll have to do it in reverse. So this time, ooh, I had a little bit of a bird nest there. Anyway, but this time when you fold it over, you will actually see where it doesn't come together, and you can sew along that edge, and then, you know, finger press the rest of your strap down and sew it at about 3/8 of an inch all the way down, securing it again in reverse on the very bottom edge. The second side, you'll just repeat. Again, you're using the back side to do your first attachment of the strap. This is also the side that has the opening that's folded in, so you can see it's folded in. And once it's sewn with the strap, nothing to worry about there. So again, find your halfway point of your strap and put it onto that fold there between the top folds and the bottom folds, right in the middle there, and then sew your 1/4 of an inch seam. Fold it over and have it on that side like that. Obviously not like that, but you know what I mean. Reverse your stitch there, and then sew that little portion that doesn't get completely matched to the rest of the strap, and then go ahead and finger press your strap and sew all the way down, securing it at the very end. Flip it over and repeat it on the other side. Clip off all your little threads. I really don't know why I wear black leggings when I am doing sewing. It's pretty ridiculous. After you're finished, this is your mask. You just go ahead and pull out your pins, and there you have it. Beautiful mask. And like I said, when I turned mine in today, she said they were beautiful. So I hope that this helps with you know, when you're going through the directions to go, huh? What does that mean? What does that mean? You're all wizards. You are awesome quilters and awesome sewers, so I know that this will really not be that difficult for you. It's just time consuming. I felt like it was almost like a full-time job. You know, once I got all of my material cut, and once I started to put them together and got a nice repetitive you know, thing going, I was able to talk on the phone and sew at the same time. It was really wonderful. It was very peaceful, and I hope you find it as rewarding as I did with doing this for the children at, you know, and their families at Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital. If you have any questions, you know my cell number. 941-928-5239. I'll be happy to walk you through anything. Thanks again. God's ministry. Amen.